Deja vu.
Okay, so hi everyone. We have another Pink Table Talk here. We do not have Dr. Candace with us today because she is doing something else with her fam. So we are here with a bunch of like really awesome people that I refer to as cousins, sisters, friends, but like all those words mean the same in that regard. And so I'm really happy we're here today. And just to kind of ground us in the work that we are doing here at Touch, and so you understand Pink Table Talk is centered around young Black women and educating young Black women, empowering them, giving them the tools, equipping them with the tools to understand their Black breast health, right? And Love of My Girls is all about three things. One, understanding your Black breast health. Two, unlocking your her story, which I think we'll do some of that today in our talk. And three, getting to know your girls and viewing that as an act of self-care. So now I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves and we're going to get started. So Uza, who are you?
Hi, everyone. Uzo Sameka. I am Touch's administrator, Ricky's assistant, and I like to help Haley with the Young Women's Campaign whenever I can.
Awesome. And then we're going to go to the three sisters over here.
Well, I'm Kiesence Cox. I'm just here supporting and advocating for my sister, who is part of Touch, the intern manager for Touch. Well, I kind of told her position, but here she goes. Yeah, calm down.
Hi everyone, I'm Ari. I am HBC Touch intern manager as well as a breastie.
Hi, I'm sorry.
Yes, we are now.
I'm sorry.
Blessies.
A blessing.
My name is Isis Dye. I am an advocate also for my sister, and I'm also an intern for Touch.
Yeah. And this is my cousin here with me today. Who are you, cousin?
My name is Martina, and I'm cousins with Haley and Ricky.
Yes, yes. So I really wanted to kind of dive into today's conversation by bringing up something that happened recently in the news. I'm like not a big news watcher, but it's on in my house during the day, and so this like literally blew my mind. We also have like a lot of educators here in some capacity, and so I saw that in Miami, this teacher had to give her kids a permission slip for Black History Month, just because she wanted to read a read aloud to their kids, just a read aloud, not even like read alouds, honestly, are like 20 minutes of your day. And so this read aloud was written by a Black author. And so these kids had to sign a permission slip just to listen to the read aloud. It wasn't even like a politically charged book. It was literally just like written by a Black person. And so it made me think about it being 2024, how that's still happening. And it was hard to hear. And I know that you guys are in Texas over there, and like that's happening as well, where like literally like you can't learn Black history in schools, and that's such a big deal, right? To like take that off the map. And so that's Kai, Key's son, who's amazing. We love Kai.
A beautiful Black prince right there in the room.
He's also like so vocal, so smart. I mean, I literally watched him count to 14. And how old is he?
He's one.
Literally, he was like strong counting, like not even like gibberish, like strong counting. He was like, he almost got to 20, but it was like gibberish by 17 kind of thing, but like he was strong and like it was like so good. But also like that's why we're here, right? We're here to like talk about our family and how we can educate our family and our and the power of this generation of us right now all here is that we can talk to our kids and our parents, right?
Exactly.
And our grandparents. We can really go have a really wide range of how we can affect this community. So
they're from Texas.
They live in Austin.
Austin, okay.
Yeah.
There's actually been a lot of laws also passed about like teaching Black history in schools here, and I'm glad we're having this conversation because I do think about Kai often because we do enjoy living in Texas, whether, you know, the politics are a little crazy here. I know, Lisa, don't look at us crazy, but we do enjoy our time here in Texas. My mom's side of the family is all here, so we have like a big support system here, but I do think about the Black history thing often, and I'm like, well, is Kai gonna even learn some of the same lessons that we've learned growing up? Because he might not even be aware of his history. Like, Black history is American history. So it's just like, why are we throwing that under the rug? And it's just unfortunate that all the time Black people have to conform to our counterparts every single day, but like we can't have a little splash of something for us in there, you know?
So I have family in Houston, and that is my mother.
With babies too, who like are gonna also go to these schools.
Yeah, so this is my so basically, like we told you guys, we're cousins. So like my mother and like my uncle PM and my aunt Gladys, that they're cousins too. So that's like it's just like your mother's.
Yeah. All
We're
the
all
cousins of
cousins,
that
we're all
generation.
cousins, right? So in Houston, right? It's just like with that, I'm like, I love going to Houston. I love the food, I love the culture and everything like that. And the
Yes.
thing is that, my Uncle PM and my Aunt Gladys also grew up in Tacoma Park, Maryland. And they have a different experience in this area because we are more privileged as Black people in this area in the DMV than Texas. So
Yeah.
when they went to Texas, now I see like their point of view went like kind of different. And I'm like, okay, like this is something that you guys wasn't really like taught like that. It's
Yeah.
definitely like kind of different from the point of views that how Black people were in this area in the DMV.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's important to like shed light on all these stories that are untold today and might be untold tomorrow, right? Like
Yeah.
we have to shed light on those. It's super important. And before we get into our stories, I think that's why we're here to share our relationship with our boobs, because this is about Black breast health and letting people know how important it is, even for us in this room. And I saw this thing the other day. It was Tom Hanks talking about the Tulsa massacre. And he was like, I've heard about, the Alamo and different parts of history that he was taught.
The
But
Black
why
Wall Street.
literally, but this is what's crazy about this. He was like, I've heard about all these parts of history that where people were killed, right? And then he was like, why is it that only 2 years ago, this man is probably what, in his 60s now, 70, like, and he was,
Probably.
and so he was like, why is it that only 2 years ago I heard about Tulsa? I just learned about Tulsa. And it's like this really crazy phenomenon that like even at that age, and I'm so happy that someone like that has a platform like he has shed light on that. But it is crazy. And he was like, I was so angry because he grew up in Oakland, California, a space that is known to be liberal, and so it was like, how did he even miss this? And so anyways,
America.
let's now dive into our stories, right? I want to think about our Black breast health because I want kids someday to watch this and get the history they might not be getting in their schools, right? And so even if we can shed light on just our stories, we are making history now, right? And so I think it's really important to acknowledge that. So Ari, I obviously let's start with you because I think that you are the reason why we have this campaign, why Love of My Girls is so important. And I would love for you to share.
I knew this moment was coming. So as I told you guys earlier, I'm a blessed breast cancer survivor. So when I was 19 years old, I stumbled upon a mass in my breast while just casually taking a shower. Immediately after discovering the mass, I scheduled a breast exam. What prompted me to schedule the breast exam, because given that I was only 19, that's not something that people typically do, even if they do feel a mass. What prompted me to do that is knowing that I had a a severe family history of breast cancer. Like I've lost several people in my life due to breast cancer. So it just came like second nature. It wasn't even something that I really even questioned. So immediately I called my doctor's office, scheduled a breast exam, going to get my breast exam. My nurse practitioner thought that it was a concerning mass just because it was very fixed and it was hard. So she sent me in to get a biopsy. And during the time period of me waiting to get my biopsy, like, even though I knew I felt a mass, I just couldn't believe that it was me. Like, I was like, yeah, I just got to get tested for cancer. Like, I'm telling y'all, I was making jokes about this and just putting it off and stuff. And then about 2 weeks later, I got a phone call right before I was going to class because I was a sophomore in college at the time. And I had got the diagnosis of invasive ductal carcinoma. And I'm like, okay, cool. What's that? And that's when she ends up telling me that it was cancer. And during the time period, me and my sisters weren't together. It's like one of the very first times in our entire lives that we weren't living with each other due to my mom passing away like 2 years prior. And you know, for a time period while I was living in Texas, I was staying with my aunt and uncle who were my guardian. My aunt just had got a promotion to move to Oklahoma. So like it really shook my world, and it was hard to find the support system when everybody was so far. But people they came through because quickly after that I had to start chemotherapy, and I did 4 cycles of adriamycin, which is like one of the strongest chemos that you can ever take. Like you can only take it once, that's how strong it is. So I did that. And then after I finished those 4 sessions, I did 12 rounds of Taxol, and that felt like water compared to the adriamycin. But I mean, I still had side effects, but yeah. And then during that whole entire time period, like I was still staying in school full time. Like I was taking all my classes I needed to because I was very adamant about getting into my radiation therapy program on time and graduating on time. And so by the end of the year, I ended up getting accepted into my program, and I started my program. And about 2 weeks into the program, that's when I had to get my double mastectomy. So I also went another preventative measure and got my double mastectomy. And at that time, I was 20. Got my full reconstruction completed by the end of 2019. And then in May 2020, I stumbled upon another mass. And so I received another diagnosis, still stage 2. I was in my therapy program. So at this time, I already know what causes like every single cancer in the book, because that's just something that we need to know. And it was very hard to not like be a hypochondriac. And like with knowing what causes every cancer, we have to know the statistics of like, you know, the epidemiology of like what are the ethnicities of these people that survive these rates. And like, to be honest with you, every single cancer that we learned about in that program, and you know how many cancers there are, every single cancer was Black. Like we have all of the high numbers. There's only like 2 cancers that we don't have high: skin cancer and, ironically, testicular cancer. That's not us either. But everything else, prostate, colon, lung, like all of breast, all of our rates were high. The mortality rate for all of them was high. So it was very intimidating being a Black cancer survivor, and like knowing those things and trying not to be a hypochondriac and determine my prognosis and all of those things. So I finished, I ended up getting 2 lumpectomies from that second diagnosis. Then I had 6 more rounds of chemo. And then I went through 25 treatments of radiation. And once again, I still stayed in school full time. When I was doing my clinical rotations, that was ironically my doctor's office. So like I was simultaneously getting treatment while my patients were getting treatment. So me and all my patients, we was ace boon coon in there. Like, you know, I'm taking them back for treatment. I'm like, oh, you going to that treatment chair? Girl, I'll be in that chair later. And so like also during that process, it was a very humbling experience, and you like just amazing to see, because there's not a lot of black patients. Given the fact that I know what the stats are for the people that are impacted by this disease, but I don't treat as many Black people as the numbers say that we have been diagnosed. Like it's very rare to see Black patients. And so I know when I do see Black patients, and given the fact also that there's broken trust with the healthcare system, I feel like I was able to bridge that gap, not only being a healthcare worker, but also being a cancer survivor myself. And so I'm like, sis, if I could do this, you can do this, like things of that nature, or just like even explaining things a little bit further for them. I like to call it Black etiquette in healthcare system, because you're not just going to tell them that you're going to lay down on this table and have a high dose of radiation zap them, and then you're going to get them off the table and they're going to be all right. Like, it doesn't work like that with the broken trust. So like, I feel like it has been a beautiful experience to be able to be a Black person in healthcare and be a Black cancer survivor and be able to love on all my patients, but also bridge a gap for my people.
Yeah,
That's so inspiring. Like,
Thank
girl,
you.
I think that you inspire us all. I think that when I am even feeling like I don't want to get up today and do this boob work, I'm like, if Ari can get up every day, and she probably got up hours earlier than me, and go do radiation therapy, it's like, and that's something that you were doing before you knew that you were already going to do medicine. You were already going to be an amazing doctor in some capacity. You were already going to do that. And so the fact that these things aligned for you is this like really crazy blessing, and like I think that because it is that you can come from firsthand experience, right? You don't just like tell patients that like no, this sucks, right? We're here, like I know, like it's no sugarcoating it in this really awesome way. So you inspire me, and I like literally, at this point would do anything for you, as I think um
can I?
and so what is your like relation to your breast and your family?
So my experience is that with my dad's mother, Ernestine Armstrong, she had breast cancer. She survived breast cancer for 7 years. So, she went through radiation and everything. And then we did like the breast cancer walk around like the national park.
We live in DC, for those
Yeah, in DC, yes. And my grandmother survived. She had stage 3 of breast cancer. And she survived, even though like she had one of her boobs cut off and everything, but she still survived. My thing is what hurt me the most, and I don't want to get emotional, is that I wish that the healthcare can do better for us Black women, because she got to a point that they said, oh, she's recessive, and she had the thing, got like, I guess she had this thing.
Well, yeah, you have your port, right? And
Yeah,
so
your
you're saying that she was in remission, right?
Yeah, so they took it out.
Well, my mom too. They were like not gonna take out her port for a while, and I'll go into my story in a second. But like when they do take out your port, it's a good thing.
Yeah,
it means like you're not gonna come back.
And she had fibroids, and that's one thing about us as Black women, we get fibroids, right? So one of it came out cancerous, so she had to do a hysterectomy. And then after that, still it's just like, okay, like her cancer came back because she was, oh, Martina, every time I drink water, it's like I'm drinking silver, or like it's a silverly taste.
Yeah.
I said, come on, just go back to the doctors and see why. And she's like, she calls me Teen. She's country, so she's like, Teen, the cancer came. And I cried. I just cried because I'm like, you guys don't take care of us Black women.
So what does that mean for you now in your breast health journey? What are you doing?
I mean,
like, you know what I mean?
In my breast journey, because it's on both sides. It's like on our side.
Yes.
And on her side. And it's like I have to take care of myself.
Yeah.
And I wish that not only that, but it's like I'm going to be the advocate to take care of myself, because these doctors, they can say X, Y, and Z, but they're not helping us as Black women. As Black women to take care of ourselves. Because my grandmother, she survived breast cancer for 7 years. 7 years.
It's a long haul for a lot of people, and I think that if you don't mind, I'm going to go into like some of my situation now with my grandmother, as you know grandma so well. So, and this honestly starts as like something that I took very lightly, right? My grandmother also had breast cancer. It was found at stage 0, so we got really lucky with her, right? Very, very lucky. She had a lumpectomy, and so during my life, one boob was bigger than the other. And she had this little like, you know, gelatinous looking thing that she put in her boob. And like literally I played with it as a kid. I was like, Grandma, I have your boob. Like it was a thing.
My grandma had a prostate boob. I was like, oh, grandma. And she's like, look, I had no boobs, so she has to put her like.
And honestly, my grandma didn't even care. It was whatever. And I played with that boob all the time. I like saying, do your boobs hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Like it was like that. Like it was a joke. We we made it light because I did not understand at all at that point the work that I would end up doing and how big of a thing this was, right? But her comfort with exposing me to the different size breasts did alert me to something that has later changed my life and my perspective. So like I'm thankful that she was so open about it, right? And so that's kind of where my work started. And then naturally, my mom, our CEO. And actually, before I dive into this story, I want to ground us in again some of the statistics about Black women because we have to know the numbers, right?
Can I say one thing? I'm sorry, but I just want to say with me and then my experience with my grandmother, I wish that even with my grandmother, like she was in poverty, like she didn't really have that, like she was on Medicaid and stuff like that. And it's just like we have to make sure that even our grandmothers or our Black women that don't even have the money or don't even have like the, you know what I'm saying, the resources of like they having this illness and stuff, we all have to bond together and make sure that our people get help.
Yeah. And that's why Touch exists, right? Because it's so important to offer all the pieces that we can offer. And so my mom got diagnosed with triple negative, the same kind that Ari had when I was 19. So that's why talking to young women is so important to me, because it's like, what did I want to know then? What are the things I wish I had known? And what are things I should be doing now because my mother had breast cancer? And I have a great aunt, mother, and grandmother who had breast cancer.
Same thing with me.
So
it's like I had a grandmother that had breast cancer. Even with my father, like my dad got diagnosed with like the prostate cancer.
yes.
And it's
That's
like
a big link between that too. It's like families that have breast cancer end up having prostate cancer in the males.
A lot of families don't even acknowledge that connection, right? And that's a big deal. If you do see prostate in your family, and at the end of this, I'll show everyone here who's watching our Her Story worksheet and where to find it, so you can dive into all these resources, because we dive not only into breast, but also all the things that could be at all related to breast cancer, right? Diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, prostate, colon, ovarian, right? And not only the people in your family that had it, but also the ages at which they got it, because your risk for breast cancer could be greater depending on whether or not your parents had it before or after menopause, right? That's another piece that's very important. And so my mom got diagnosed when we're here to just tell stories. So I hope everyone's enjoying listening to our stories today. My mom got diagnosed when I was 19. She was in her 50s.
I remember.
Ironically, she got diagnosed. So I was in China for the summer because doing whatever crazy things I was doing. And
I remember
there was a week when I got home, right? And for me before I went back to school. And during that week, she had postponed her appointments to go with me. So we could go during 1 week and do all the doctors, dentists, all that stuff before I went back to school, right? So during that, our family doctor, we were going to Kaiser at the time, did my, pap smear, all that good stuff. And then also did, her breast exam, and that's when they found her lump. So long story short with that piece is that she had triple negative. It is a fast growing cancer. Had she gone a month earlier, they would not have found it. Had she gone a month later, it would have been too bad to cure. And so I see this moment as like really fun and serendipitous for me and my mother, because I think that although we've always been very close, you know, if you go watch more Pink Table Talks and Doctors and on the Black Doctor, you'll see. But like it even bonded us more, because I think that it was during that week that she found it that was like so impactful. So they told her she had 2 years to live, and that, you know, that she wasn't going to see me graduate from college. She's like, what? You know, it's like, how? And so
I remember that. Like,
and so
yeah.
and so she then founded Touch about, and right at the top of COVID, and I was like, you crazy, like it's not gonna work out, like it's like not the right timing, you know. But you don't tell my mother no. She says the answer is never no, it's always how.
Yes, how?
And so she was like, I'm gonna figure this out. And Black Doctor, thank you to Black Doctor for being a great interface for us to have a virtual presence that was so strong, because I think that really carried Touch and got us going. And she just saw that the ecosystem did not give us enough information. So again, back to the stat. Black women have a 41 higher percent mortality rate. Mind you, our incident rate of white women is the same as white women, right? So we're getting at the same rate, but we're dying from it at a 41% higher rate.
Exactly.
And then a 39 higher percent recurrence rate. Both my mother and Ari had recurrences already. Quickly too, with triple negative. It came back within like 2 years, both of y'all, you know? So it's like, that's absurd. And then why we do this work here is because Black women under 35 get breast cancer at 2 times the rate and die at 3 times the rate. And we are not told to get mammograms until we're 40. So now I'm going to dive into my experience a little bit, because I'm 31, trying to do my best to get screened, trying to just do my best and take my vitamins, just be better about all those things. Because now, obviously, bodies are changing out here. Like it's not the same as it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And so just trying to do better. And so this is actually new to you guys who haven't even told y'all this. So I found a good primary care doctor when I got to DC, because I just moved here, I guess 4 years ago now. And it took me a second to just get on top of this stuff. It's like, I know the things, I'm aware, but awareness and action are two different things, right? And so I need to act on my things. And so I found a PCP that I liked. And right before my wedding in October, she retired, right? And so I was like, gosh, I just got to know you, you know, my family history, like we were vibing, right? And so as of last week, I was like, Haley, you got to get back on it. You told yourself that you're going to do these things in these years. You're going to be better about getting screened and all this stuff. So I then had an appointment with a PCP last week. I thought it was in person, but it wasn't. And so I got like the Zoom email. It's like, here's a Zoom link. And I was like, okay. Because I'm thinking at least my first appointment would be in person, you know. I go online and I say to myself, here's what's crazy. I say to myself that day, I'm gonna cancel it. I rather just like work through the day. And I was like, you know what? I'm telling all these women, like I said on Mama's thing, to keep your appointments, right? And so I was like, if I tell other people that, I have to do it myself, right? I have to. And so it was $50 to cancel also. So I was like, I'm gonna go, right?
Right.
So, you know, so I was like, I'm saving $50. And so I go on the appointment. I go through my family history, all this stuff, right? And she's just like, so I say that I want to get screened. I need to get screened. Here's my family history. I need this. I know my family history. Knowing your family history is kind of the best way we have to always to advocate for ourselves in these arenas, honestly. Especially for a family like mine, we don't have any genes. I don't have BRCA. I don't have any genes that alert doctors to the fact that I need screening. So if I give my family history, that's all I really got. And so her story, sorry. And so I told her the whole rundown, and she persists to help me get it. She's like, you know, do you know why Black women don't, do you know why young women don't get screened? This is a Black woman, right? I live in DC. This is a
She
black,
told you
yes.
the truth.
So no, so I said, she said, you know why? And she's like, and I said, radiation is bad for people. I get it, to some degree. And then she went into the dense breast thing. And I was like, thank you for bringing that up. I want a 3D mammogram. Of course, I know that. I know this information. I don't want a 2D that's not going to see through my dense breast. I need 3D. Because in my mind, these locations should only have 3D. But this, apparently they still got some 2Ds out here. So watch out for that young woman. But so then I realized that in this conversation, I'm like trying to convince her to help me. Right. And it's like, why is this the narrative? Why am I trying to, like, you should be just like, I'm telling you, I need this thing. You should be giving me this thing. But so she goes and she's like, you're probably not going to qualify. You're probably not going to be able to do it. And I'm like, I wish your attitude was less like this. I wish your attitude was more, I'm gonna help you get it no matter what, and her attitude was like, good luck. Like, hope you get the 3D mammogram. And it was just so interesting because I'm somebody who has the knowledge, right, to advocate. I know my hair story, I know these things. And so I employ everyone who's listening to like go do that and find your family hair story. But even at 31, I am struggling to advocate for myself in this arena, and I work here, right? I work in this space. And so it's just not that easy. And then I thought, oh, here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. This appointment cost me $100. And so so here I am, right? Thinking I should have canceled it for 50. You know what I mean? So I'm like, how am I in this scenario too? Because I'm telling young women also to like go advocate for themselves, right? And like go find a doctor that works for you. What if that was my last $100? What if actually, dating around for doctors, right? Because you want to find a doctor you trust and you like, but that costs money. It was cheaper for me to have canceled the appointment to go meet with a doctor who didn't believe in me.
That's not what
you know what I'm saying? So it was just like, that happened this week. You know what I'm saying? That this is like happening now, right? And so, anyways, that's
and it also just doesn't happen in just like regular not just in breast appointments, but same thing with like Black women giving birth. Like Black women are dying at alarming rates during childbirth, and it's like just because people aren't listening to them essentially. So like when my sister was pregnant, I'm telling you, I'm like, what?
We're coming to you next, boo.
You literally have to advocate for yourself. Like I had to type the whole paper of what I want done during my birth, and like was strict about it because they don't, take our pain seriously, of course, but then also our requirements and the stuff that we want to, have a successful childbirth and like a good experience in the hospital, because it is scary in general being a Black woman in the hospital and have all these people like, I did consider a home birth most definitely, but it's just, yeah. And also, I just want to touch on the finances and just the medical system or healthcare system in general, and it making it more affordable for Black women, because we are expressing, our stories and stuff, and going to see the doctors, going to our primary cares, but like what women for real Black women can really go in there and afford it that aren't on Medicare, that aren't government assistance. Like it is harder. So I feel like some of those statistics are based upon women not being able to actually afford cancer treatment. Like there was times when my sister got kicked off her insurance, and like have to advocate and like, how is this happening? She's literally in chemo. Like it doesn't make any sense for that to be happening in the process of women trying to heal their bodies and going through something so crazy. So like I feel like there needs to be something. Right. Yes, that's added stress and added pressure. And like, during the time I was working full time and also going to school full time as well. So like I was in Denton, she was in San Marcos area, like Austin area. So it wasn't as easy to be there and advocate and like, show up for her as much as I wanted to. Like it was hard, and especially being the big sister, like I'm a doer. Like I gotta, the moment that I found out that she had cancer, like I
She was trying to drive down that exact way.
I'm a dude.
I'm on my way to you. My boss is not letting me live with
Honestly, if you
You
see
come down,
Kitty
I
coming
just
for her
be there
sisters,
just to
get out of
be
the
with
way.
My sister. I just feel like I just needed to be there, love on her. Like I didn't know what I was gonna do because, like, you want to fix it, being the oldest, but I just feel like I just needed to be there to show her, like, that I'm.
And then we can even bring up, like, earlier this year, I had to get surgery done to fix some of the complications that I had going through cancer treatment again. And we had our work retreat in Florida. So I knew that I wasn't unable to lift my suitcase because I wasn't allowed to lift more than 10 pounds and I could barely raise my arms. So I was like, oh, I can't put this suitcase above my head or anything like that. And Key took me to the airport and I went to check in at the desk and tell her that, like, I need some assistance and I'm not able to carry my bags because I just had surgery. And this lady completely dismissed my pain.
Like, she goes back to Black women not being, taken seriously.
Like, she thought I was just young and I was trying to beat the system. She was like, we don't do that here. We don't just carry people's bags around. And then I had to look at my sister. She was like, you're gonna have to sit in a wheelchair if you want help. I'm looking at my sister. I'm like, I'm not sitting in a wheelchair. Like, I'm just not gonna do it. And my sister's like, no, you need to do it. But we literally had to tell her that I had breast cancer for her to care. Like, I literally had to go.
Why do we have to tell the story in order for us to be taken?
Why would you be lying about breast cancer? Why would somebody ever lie about this? Like, that's crazy.
I'm sorry you had to go through that.
It was very, and I hope she feels bad because at the end of the conversation, I'm crying because I'm just like, I shouldn't have to tell you anything about my medical history. I shouldn't even have to say I had breast cancer for you to care. And, like, honestly, I was being sincere about the situation. It was like I came up like, baby, you're gonna have to get someone to get my bags, because I'm telling you, somebody would go up to that counter and say it like that.
Yeah, we were humble, just explaining the story. I just feel like it's just crazy how young people or just young Black women aren't really taken into consideration with our feelings, how we feel, and just moving forward through life too. Like,
wait, Key, I want you to keep chatting because I feel like your relationship with your boobs is interesting because you do have a lot, so, like, I would love for you to share, like, what does your breast health journey mean for you now? Because I feel like that moment kind of redefines, like, your relationship with them. Before, they may have been sexualized or like something else, right? Or, like, you have a relationship with them. Like mine, I feel like we're like non-existent for most. Like I didn't even notice them because, like, I don't have like we all have a different moment with our boobs. Like you just gained some weight, you got boobs. Like who knows? You're like, and so as a mom, though, how do you feel like you what's it like for you thinking about your Black breast health?
I feel like I never really thought about my Black breast health until my sister was diagnosed, and I took the genetic testing, and signed up for mammogram, and that's when I realized that I do have like dense breast, and I have to get checked every 6 months regularly, and make sure that they're good. So I feel like that's always been something that I had to keep up with, and then becoming a mom, I feel like it's even more just making sure that I'm well and good for Kai, and like there's nothing going on, and there's nothing that's popped up through me breastfeeding or anything like that, but I feel like I have a closer relationship. I mean, most definitely my boobs have changed after breastfeeding and pregnancy, but I've learned to love them and embrace them, and it was good being screened by BEXA. It was a most definitely non-invasive, like easy process. So I would consider that, especially being a young mom, just on the go. Like, so speaking of that,
So before I ask Isis and Uza to share their stories, I want to quickly explain BEXA. BEXA is one of our partners in this work. They're amazing. Thank you to Tiara Neal, who is willing to travel and make sure that she has people to come and represent BEXA at our events. We screen as many women as we can. The thing about BEXA is this: it's super duper cool because Black women are on the move, right? Like, just now, you guys just like, you just picked up Isis from work and keys for the baby. Like you guys, we all are on the move. Today I've been all over the place trying to get ready for this weekend of events. But it's crazy because Bexa can, they basically go through density instead of using radiation. So there's no radiation. So if you are a young mom, you can get Bexa. If you are not uninsured, you can get Bexa, right? Because and we bring it to places where Black women are. And I think Key got scanned at my wedding. I had screening at my wedding because it's just that important to me. And so, yeah.
I did not know that.
Exactly. And so, well,
I'm definitely mine.
But it's like, why not in that moment? But also, I've gotten screened by Bexa. As someone who's struggling right now to get a mammogram, it feels so much better that I at least got screened by Bexa, because at least I've tried to do something, right? Because they found me where I was in that regard. And so, definitely keep in touch to see when we are bringing Bexa to our events, because it's a very important thing to get screened. And again, it's super important for women like Key who like are breastfeeding. You can do it when you're breastfeeding. So the way that it works too is like, if they do see something based on their what it is, it's like a little mouse. It's like getting a sonogram, but it is your boobs. And then if they do see something, they will spot check that area with sonogram technology. So you only get radiation right in one spot versus your entire boob, right? So it's really, really useful in that regard.
My mom actually gets hers checked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, why don't I get mine checked?
You have
like,
to.
You know, like, I'm like, okay, I have to get mine checked because, like, it runs, like, not even in our family, but on my dad's side.
And
too.
both sides.
And I'm just like, okay, I need to get my breast checked.
Yes. And again, it's one thing for us to be aware, another thing for us to turn that into action.
Yeah.
Right.
I have to, like,
And so on that note, my sister, here's a fun fact too. My sister, I don't know if it's fun, but fact. My sister got screened by Bexa. Nothing came up. She got screened in July. Then she decided that she already had 3 kids. She then decided to go and do she wanted to pursue getting a prophylactic mastectomy.
Like an Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, so she's getting it done next week. And so she's getting her boobs cut off. We're doing the resensation, all the good things, because you have a choice then, right? She's not going to have, but here's a crazy thing. My mom, 10 years before she had breast cancer, she had benign polyps in her breast and got them removed. No big deal. At that point, the doctor did not tell her that she was at a higher risk for breast cancer by these polyps showing up. So then my sister's now getting ready for her breast exam, having to do all the things. Mammograms showed nothing. Because she wants to do a breast exam or get them cut off, though, they did an ultrasound. The ultrasound showed nothing. The MRI showed polyps. They are benign. But because my mom's breast health journey started with benign polyps, who knows is what this will become for her in 10 years. So now we're even more like, go get it done. Like, good, let's go. Because so anyway,
I don't know if I told you this, but my mom is thinking about cutting hers as well.
I think that it's a big step, a really big proactive step, but for those of us that need it, should do it. And again, knowing your risk is the goal here, right? I understand your risk so you can make decisions and have the choice to make choices versus, having it and then not having as many choices, right? So anyways, let's hear from both Isis and Uza, because I want to hear your story. What's your relation with your Black breast health? How do you involve it into your life now? Anything that really comes to mind.
Well, I can say the same thing as my sister. I didn't take Black breast health seriously until my sister was diagnosed. Unfortunately, at that time, I was too young to do the testing, but I was able to do the screening from your wedding, and I am so grateful to have been able to do that because it just opens up a door to be able to talk about other people getting screened, because I feel like the stigma why people don't get screened is because we're scared. We don't exactly know what's gonna go on, and we don't know if we can trust the person who's doing the actual screening. So I feel like having that screening and being a comfortable setting, her showing me that it's not a scary process to go through. I can advocate for more people to get screenings, and also being a part of Touch, it has also opened up an opportunity for me to at least have like daily or weekly talks about breast cancer and about just being comfortable to talk about that. Because I feel like cancer in general and breast cancer is kind of a touchy subject to bring up. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I just thank you for bringing so much joy to this space and to this world, because I feel like you do that so well, and I feel like you, again, make things amazing. And I think the point of Love of My Girls is to make this not scary, right? You can check your girls, we can be in this process, we can care about our Black breast health, right?
And you have definitely allowed that to be a path with Touch, Haley. You do make Love of My Girls very much lighthearted for the young girlies.
And but because boobs are normal, you know what I mean? Like, they are normal. We can make this thing normal. It's okay. We should talk about this during puberty when we get the damn thing. So,
Right.
anyway,
Shouldn't get to a crucial situation to start taking it seriously.
yeah. And like, while things are like weird and you're figuring it out, let's talk about it, So Uza, I know that you have a very strong connection. Even recently, things have happened in your life that make that connection even stronger. So please share.
Yeah, so my first introduction to cancer, my mom had thyroid cancer in the early 2000s, and she beat it. Everything was fine. She lost her brother several years later to colon cancer. And so those are my first introductions. And really, we're talking about normalizing the conversation. It was not a conversation in the household. It was kind of just something she got over, and we all tried to just move on, and no one talked about it again. And fast forward to my late teens, I think, or early 20s, I started to feel some discomfort in my breasts, and something just felt odd to me. So because the conversation was not normalized in the household, I took it upon myself to go and try to get it checked out. And of course, was met with many stops at that age, with like very limited knowledge as to what I could do. Not knowing that 40 years for mammograms, I tried to get a mammogram, and I was just doing everything I could to get any scanning. And I was just thinking, why is this such a fight? And I thought that just even mentioning that my mother had cancer, even though it wasn't breast cancer, that would help me in my journey of like trying to get testing, trying to get answers, and it did not. So I just remember feeling so odd about that, and just I got an ultrasound, and I was just told that you have dense breasts, and that was kind of just that. And that is just such a common thing I learned like throughout the years after that. We've almost all of us have had this experience as Black women. And recently I lost someone who was a mother figure to me. She had breast cancer, then became metastatic. And similar to Ricky, she was 12 years ago, she was given 2 years to live. And so she was with us for 12 years, and we lost her in November. But for me, it just made me want to be a stronger advocate, knowing our struggles in healthcare in general, and then obviously having that very personal connection and seeing what her experience was like, the care that she received, the support that she received, and just wanting to know how I could be a part of that and how I could lift our women up. So that's my journey.
I appreciate that because I feel the same way with my grandmother. Like, I said again, she had breast cancer for 7 years. And then, she went what is it called?
In remission.
In remission. And they took the thing out of her chest and everything. But then they found like she had fibroids, and one of it came cancerous. And then they did the hysterectomy, but then the cancer came back between her kidney and stomach. And I feel as though like they failed my grandmother as a Black woman, because like they could have prevented all of this.
Well, I think too, I mean, and we're going to close out now, and thank you guys for all listening. No, you're fine, you're fine. So I think it's, again, I think that what we understood from today is we have to know her story, right? We need to act on the things that we know and we can be aware, but we have to like go do the things, like go get screened. After having Bex at my wedding, I'm not having a family event at all without having screening there. You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't we screen at our family barbecues and our reunions and birthday parties? I'm actually planning a birthday party with two of my old students are twins. And it's all the same birthday. And so me and their mom are planning a joint birthday party in July and we're gonna do screening all kinds of things with kids and their moms. Cause it's like, why not? Right. Um, I thank you guys for sharing your stories. I think it's super important that we have the space to share, especially as we started. People are trying to erase Black history and we need to, of course. And so people have tools moving forward. It's very important. So Love of My Girls website, please check it out. Love of My Girls is GURLS. And so here's our website. Check out our video. It's started my voiceover career. So if you need voiceovers, call me. And then here you can find, you just go down to our part about unlocking your her story, right? Here's our worksheet. As you can see, we've mentioned all of these things today that we've seen in our families that could be related to our breast cancer risk, right? It's important to one, unlock your her story, but also go do the wisdom study. It's a free genetic test if you are 30 to 74, right? Go do that. These things are free because again, we talked about being able to afford these things. Let's share the free things we know because there are some things, but people don't know about them. So we have to have these conversations and share them, right? It's so important. And understand your risk, and then you can understand how often you should be screened, right? What your screening protocol should look like. I'm at the point of thinking that it should be at least once a year, if not twice, right? I'm thinking like a 3D mammogram in January and an MRI in July kind of thing. Because that's like what also, that's what I feel comfortable with. And I'm an advocate with that because that's what I need to sleep at night. You know what I'm saying? So like also go, say that and go to your doctor and just be your own advocate, be what we call a girl boss in this campaign. And so thank you guys for listening to our Pink Table Talk today. We are very happy to share. Please also hit us up at touchbbca.org. If you are someone who is anywhere in your breast health journey or breast cancer journey, we are here for you. And we are doing the best we can be where Black women were, as Ricky would say, live, work, play, pray, and slay. And so we have a lot of events coming this year, and we are excited to be sharing this information and sharing our stories. So thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next month.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much.